From a terrifying demon of the ocean to an unknown gelatinous monster just found in the sea, plus the ugliest beast ever found on dry land. Here are 10 of the strangest creatures ever found. Number 10. The Black Sea Devil Anglerfish. By far one of the strangest creatures ever found is the Black Sea Devil Anglerfish. This thing is an unbelievable monster. It's hard to believe it actually exists. Researchers at California's Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute recently spotted one of these extremely creepy fish and captured it on video for the very first time. According to USA Today, the anglerfish was caught on video while scientists were exploring the Monterey Canyon, a massive canyon in the Pacific Ocean so big it could rival even the Grand Canyon. You might be familiar with the anglerfish. You know, the one from Finding Nemo that Marlin and Dory run into while in the dark abyss. It has a dangling flashlight appendage that hangs off its face, which helps it to lure prey directly into its giant gaping mouths. These anglerfish are also notorious for being very ugly and living very deep in the ocean. The most recent discovery came at 1900 feet below the surface of the water, and it was the first time that a living specimen was filmed physically swimming. There have been some specimens that have shown up on a shore or have been scooped into a fisherman's net, but they've always been dead. These fish are pretty elusive, and they have some of the scariest teeth you've ever seen on an animal, and it's safe to say that they are positively evil and belong exactly where they are in the darkness of the ocean. Number 9. John Smith and the Mermaid. When it comes to the strangest creatures ever discovered, a mermaid definitely tops the list. This is the story of John Smith and the Mermaid. John Smith might be known mostly for his famous rescue of Pocahontas, but apparently he also had an otherworldly encounter with a mermaid in 1614. At least, according to the Smithsonian magazine he did. John Smith allegedly spotted a woman with green hair swimming in the water. The woman was extremely attractive up top, but she had the tail of a fish, and she swam away before John Smith could take another look. What's really surprising is that this is not the only mermaid sighting that happened back in the 1600s. Sailors from all over the world reported bumping into mermaids. Soon, mermaid mania swept all throughout colonial Europe. However, the truth is likely a little more disappointing. Most scientists are confident that what John Smith and the other sailors saw swimming beside their vessels were actually just manatees. It's kind of strange to imagine a manatee looking like a beautiful woman, but keep in mind that these sailors were having a pretty tough time stuck on their boats for months and months. It's highly possible that rather than discovering a new breed of fish and human hybrid, the scurvy-stricken sailors simply saw manatees playing beside their boats and let their imaginations make up the rest. What do you think? Are mermaids real? Number 8. The Loch Ness Monster. Gary Campbell is the man who apparently has seen the Loch Ness Monster, and he's seen it more than once. Gary is also the guy who runs the official Loch Ness Monster Sightings Registry in Inverness, Scotland. He knows every single sighting of the Loch Ness Monster, and according to a recent interview with Gary himself, he too has witnessed Nessie. According to the man who knows more about the Loch Ness Monster than anyone, there isn't actually a whole lot that is known about the monster beside it likes to make random appearances. Contradictory, right? First of all, he doesn't know whether the Loch Ness Monster is a he or a she, even though a lot of people in Scotland automatically assume it's a she. There are apparently 1400 years of history in which Nessie has been spotted by the public, and yet this is one strange creature that has never actually been found. Gary even confessed that he witnessed the monster over 20 years ago, but all he saw was a small black hump sticking out the water. Even though Gary is pretty convinced, he very well could have just seen a big log. The devastating truth here is that even someone who has studied the Loch Ness Monster for 20 years has actually never found it. When it comes down to cold hard facts, Nessie is the strangest, unfindable creature ever. Do you think Gary really saw the famous Nessie? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Number 7. The weird sea cucumber. Sea cucumbers are some of the nastiest creatures ever found living in the ocean. These chubby tubes of atrocities slink around the ocean floor and poop like crazy. If you don't want to be grossed out, I highly suggest you skip ahead to the next story. Some newly discovered information about sea cucumbers has shed some light on just how much these ugly monsters of the deep can relieve themselves each and every year. According to a new study published in the scientific journal Coral Reefs, sea cucumbers are able to collectively poop around 70,000 tons of sandy excrement each and every year. Keep in mind though, this is the collective poop of a large group of sea cucumbers. This study counted about 3 million sea cucumbers living in an isolated lagoon near the end of Australia's Great Barrier Reef. The area is only about 7.3 square miles, and yet there are 3 million of these little poop machines living there. Together, they poop the equivalent mass of 5 Eiffel Towers every year. But one of the reasons why this is such an interesting animal discovery is because sea cucumbers are just one weird critter. It takes hundreds of other animals to clean and recycle that poop, who then make their own poop. The circle of life can truly be a bit disgusting. Number 6. Stranded whale. Whales getting stranded on the shore is a pretty rare occurrence, but something that does happen, and when it does, it's quite sad. But when a whale was stranded just recently in Florida, it turned out to be a completely new species of whale, and one that is already in danger of going extinct. This was one of the most bizarre animal discoveries in recent memory. The whale that washed up in the Florida Everglades was 38 feet long, and it was found just rotting away on the shore with a giant piece of plastic inside its belly. It was a type of baleen whale, similar to a humpback whale or a blue whale, and it turned out to be a whole new subspecies known as the Rice's whale, which apparently live in the Gulf of Mexico. But here's where things get really shocking. According to new information published in the journal Marine Mammal Science, there are less than 100 members of the Rice's whale currently alive on our planet. They are critically endangered, and now we have to worry about them washing up dead on our beaches. This was probably one of the saddest animal discoveries in the last 5 years. Number 5. Freaky spiders. The most terrifying discovery of the century happened in an Australian home when hundreds upon hundreds of cannibalistic spiders invaded the bedroom of an unsuspecting teenager. This happened in Sydney, a busy city where humans are supposed to be kept safe from 8-legged freaks. According to the pictures posted online by a friend of the family, the homeowner walked into her daughter's room to find hundreds of huge and creepy house guests crawling across the ceiling and spazzing out in the upper corners. These were baby huntsman spiders, some of the largest and most common arachnids in Australia. These critters can grow to be more than 5 inches long, and their population explodes in the summer. Sometimes they find their way into people's homes, and that's what probably happened here. To make things worse, but kind of better, they were cannibals. The spiders were scrambling to feast on one another, which meant their numbers quickly diminished, but in the meantime there was a cannibal party of huge spiders going on in this poor girl's bedroom. Number 4. Ancient bugs. Speaking of things that creep and crawl, a rare fossilized assassin bug has recently been discovered, and it dates back 50 million years. Researchers with the University of Illinois recently published their findings on this incredible fossil, saying that this taxonomic group of insects is actually twice as old as scientists previously thought. What's really amazing about this hardened assassin bug is that the petrified specimen was completely intact, and this almost never happens. This new fossil was discovered in an area rich with sedimentary deposits in Colorado by a fossil hunter. When the man picked up the rock, it actually split in half, slicing the bug into 2 perfect specimens locked inside of the stone, making it one of the most perfect fossils ever found. And what's truly remarkable about bug fossils is that we can clearly see that they have not changed very much since they first evolved into their perfect forms. Even though this fossil dates back 50 million years ago, we can see that assassin bugs have barely diversified or changed since then. Number 3. Rare dragon eggs. Some rare dragon eggs have just started hatching in western Slovenia. Of course, these aren't real dragons like you might see in Game of Thrones. They definitely don't breathe fire. Instead, these are a species of blind and aquatic salamanders known as olms, but they are nicknamed dragons because they have extremely long and slender bodies that make them look like the mythical Chinese dragons. Nonetheless, these newly hatched dragon eggs are a pretty big deal in the scientific community. This is because olms only lay eggs once or twice every 10 years, even though they have a ridiculously long lifespan of up to 100 years. Researchers working in the Slovenian cave recently found between 50 and 60 of the eggs, and now they've started hatching. It's also exciting because out of every 500 eggs laid by olms, only an average of 2 go on to hatch and actually survive. Now, scientists will be keeping an eye on the newly hatched dragons to try and learn more about this incredibly rare species, which by the way primarily live far from humans, deep in the dark recesses of European caves. Number 2. An ugly beast. A hideous beast was found in Texas a few years ago, and people still think it's a chupacabra. The creature was originally found by a rancher living in Fort Hood, slightly south from Fort Worth. The rancher discovered the creature still alive inside of his barn, only to have it shot by an animal control officer who showed up to his call. According to the local witnesses, the animal was hairless and ugly, real ugly. When photos of the beast turned up online, Everyone was raving that it was a chupacabra, a horrifying monster that allegedly appeared in Puerto Rico in 1995. Of course, no hard evidence has ever been found that the chupacabra really exists, which is why this strange creature excited people so much. Even the farmer who originally found the beast was kind of excited, and all the hype convinced authorities to take DNA samples and try to work out what kind of monster this really was. Unfortunately, the DNA tests have yet to be revealed. Will this thing turn out to be a wolf, a dog, or really an unidentified monster never seen by scientists? Number 1. Gelatinous Monster. Scientists working with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration have recently discovered a new and very strange gelatinous type of monster living deep in the sea. This was reported in Science Alert, and it was the first discovery of its kind ever to be made only by using video footage. The reason this is so interesting is that most species need to be studied by researchers in a physical setting, but this weird blob monster was found by a remotely operated vehicle off the coast of Puerto Rico. It was less than 1 millimeter in length, and scientists were not able to get a sample of it to the surface to study it. Instead, they had to identify it by using the high-resolution video. So far as we know, the creature was named D. sparksei, and it's a strange type of ctenophore organism with a body like a balloon and 2 long tentacles trailing behind it. The research team managed to film 3 individuals at a depth of around 12,000 feet below the surface, or 2.5 miles deep. Thanks for watching. What's the creepiest creature you've ever found? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to subscribe for even more amazing videos. See you next time. Bye!